I should pull up my stream. See what's going on here. Hi there, Jake HB. I think I'm just supposed to say hi. I don't think I'm supposed to ding you back. I'm not sure. But hey, how are you? If the music's too loud, let me know. I'm just looking through my my pictures from the 4th of July. Like I said before in previous streams, I don't like to shoot with a tripod when there are these little people. See these little teeny tiny people here? They're dangerous around equipment. You know, they don't mean to be. They're just little teeny tiny people. So actually, I was just looking at revisiting. I've already posted these to like Facebook, and I was just looking, so I'm just gonna go back in and actually, I think what I really want to do right now is look at some of my pictures from New York or our trip to Pennsylvania. They had all these suicidal herbivores. Oh, hello. Look at that. Telephono ringing. I will not be answering. Or will I? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Let me answer this phone call. Check this out. Hello? I can't talk right now because I'm streaming, but I will call you back. Okay, bye. That was my baby sister. All right, so let's go back up here. See what I've got. The thing about I took these pictures for a reason. They have a purpose. So, because they have a purpose, it's a little bit different than them being something like a regular stock photo, I guess, in a way. Like, there's nothing I can do with that. And this is all messed up. I should have been standing here, facing the building and looking up, but I was on the move. You know, I came back and revisited these shapes right here. Just landmarking, taking pictures like, oh, make sure you take pictures of this. Make sure you take pictures of that. A lot of people use pictures like this for reference and many other things. I'm turning this down some, guys. Hold on. There's been a party foul. There we go. Okay. Alright. So people like take pictures for references. I do. And for other things. God, that was blurry. See, this is what I get for trying to take it on the run. That's okay. I mean, I have reflection here, I have reflection there. It's not a good picture though. It's really not. I mean, like, it looks kind of cool, but it's like, no. What I was doing right here is just taking pictures up to see what they would do in my camera. See what would happen. You know, finding leading lines. Yeah, the traffic is all going that way, so you can definitely see that there's a direction. Everything points in that direction. There's my, you know, get perspective and all of that. And as far as pictures go, this one's all right, I guess. Like, let's punch it up a little bit, see what it looks like. It wasn't going to change it much, I guess. All right, so this being a city, that means it's buildings, I can punch up the clarity, and it won't take away from it. And I guess I would probably bring up the vibrance because of all this yellow. See all this yellow, 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 yellow. The yellow's paramount, you know. Do I make the yellow brighter? I mean, you know, I could come down here and do that, I guess. And thus it's yellow. Like, you see other colors, but you most definitely see the yellow. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. So I guess that one's okay. It was a cloudy day. This is why you don't have a lot of clouds in the picture, because this was the day. It was kind of dreary. Thing is that you can always add clouds to your picture. It's not that hard. So, like I said, these are like, you could totally tell this is like sightseeing. I'm just like throwing the camera around. When I position my camera though to where I'm trying to catch shapes, you can tell the difference. I was trying, but you know, because I was trying to catch that reflection and the straight line, and I could see, like, wait the hell down here. You know, it's definitely a good shot. Understand too, this was early in the morning. By the afternoon, that place was packed. This is Times Square. And I was there in the morning, you know, taking pictures, moving on. I was really fascinated by this picture of this hummingbird, because at one point the hummingbird has this, you can see its throat, and it's really, really, really beautiful. I was like, oh, that is a great shot, but it might be in another picture way down. Pretty sure I got a picture of it, but it's like whatever. Of course, there's advertisements all over the place. There's plenty to see. This shot's okay. You know, I got a little reflection here, that right there. They'll work, but I made some errors. You know, I really should have chosen here. I didn't make good choices. For instance, should I have put more of, I should have put this corner into this picture so that you'd have had more of that. So what I actually needed to do is take a few more steps over to my left, and then I would have captured more of this picture. I should have probably been lower to the ground, and I probably would have gotten a much better shot than standing up. When they tell you to shoot from the hip, what they literally mean is that when you're photographing like a situation like this, see, there's its throat. It's really cool. But if you're there, it's like super bright. But anyway, in a situation like this, weird things start to happen with your camera lens, with a wide aperture lens. A wide aperture lens is bent. What's on the camera that I want to say the camera that faces away from you, that's a wide aperture lens. Because of how it's shaped, you really have to kind of outthink what's going on. And things, you might think that things are level, but when you're out there in real life, things are not level. Okay. For instance, these buildings, okay, they are level, but they're not. In other words, where I was standing at was kind of a hill, so everything kind of went down. I didn't readjust for it. But if you see this, see how this looks like it's straight up? This looks like it's straight up. This looks like, and then they all start leaning and leaning and leaning. Even though I use this to kind of guide me with still. So you really have to pay attention, and that's when you start getting things that look like they're going over your head, or, you know, it's just, they will start to look a certain way. This is more level, even though the buildings look like they're coming in and you're getting that point down here, still it's just one of those things you just have to really pay attention to. You know, I was there trying to get pictures as fast as I possibly could. And I was moving fast, you know, like I'm taking pictures and walking and taking and walking and trying to figure out where I'm at and trying to understand the environment, things like that. Pictures like this, you kind of just go, okay, well, I have to straighten that up. That's not too bad, I guess. I would probably get rid of that. See, in doing so, though, there's not a lot of room above it, and it needs more room. So, what does it look like? I don't know. Let's auto-tone it. Obviously, it says it looks great. We like it just like that. Well, I don't know. Let's black and white it. Let's go with a red filter. Let's go with a blue filter. On a red filter, what did it do to the stairs? There they are. There's the dude. So you have more detail. I don't know. It's kind of dark, so I probably brighten it up some. Boring. It's a very boring, boring, boring shot. It doesn't move me at all. I don't like it. Actually, real talk, it's way more interesting to people watch. But you have to be careful, because I don't want people like, you know, like I was talking about before, like people will look at you like you're a creeper. They'll be like, are you taking a picture of me? You know? I'm gonna have to charge you for that. This is New York. It's not a game there. These guys were pretty nice. These are the traffic police. They were pretty cool. They were very sweet. And they left, and let's see what it looks like in black and white. Probably better. Let's see what we can do here. I don't know. Again, boring. I couldn't say. It's one of those, like, you'll go to a place and you're like, you want the place to inspire you. And I like New York, like, to visit, like, real talk. But would I want to live there? It's too much humanity for me. It's a whole lot of humanity. A whole lot, guys. And, you have to really be in the frame of mind to want to live next to that many people. No, I'm not creeping on this guy. This guy happens to be my son. Too dark. And again, it's like things, how things get translated, like some things are much more interesting. I'm thinking, guys. I'm still here though. I'm actually waiting on this tutorial to start. Go back and check and see if they started it yet. No, not yet. Oh, there it is. They're doing a critique show. Let me go in here and check this out. Let me turn off my music. Turn that up. Pause. Alright. Let's see what we got going on here.
Static pose to make it stronger, whether it be pushing you're just so huge, I had to switch brush sizes. You can put a pose in there stronger, maybe like tilt the hips or broaden, like, widen the stance, just to give it more gesture. So push it. You have to push it even in a static pose, to give it that sort of quality. There's a lot of symmetry in your pose. You have enough artistic skill. I know you've probably heard it before, that making a strong drawing is a lot about opposites. And so you should add some asymmetry in your pose to make it stronger. That's what I think would improve this already really strong concept. So the very last thing that I see is a big difference between his drawings and your drawings is you seem to lack a little bit of exaggeration in your design. You have, pushed your designs quite a bit, but you can exaggerate so much more. The strength in some of his pieces, comes from the contrast in size. So she has, really big toes and a really enormous
So
foot,
this is what I'm
postured like a
watching.
wolf to give her this sort of sense and feel. And she has a nice sized head in
And she's
contrast to
like,
this very skinny
hey.
body. Batman's foot here is a humongous size. His
So I'm gonna
muscles
go
are
ahead and put it
huge.
back over here so you
He
guys know
really
what I'm
pushes the
watching.
exaggeration in all of his pieces, even as realistic as they get. He pushes it to the limits in every one of his pieces. Even this is full of a lot of exaggeration. If a real woman tried to stand like this, I'm sure she'd be in some type of pain attempting this. So, you gotta exaggerate. If in this design you had exaggerated like the width of his, oh gosh, back to the brush size, brush size, brush size, brush size. Okay. If you had exaggerated in your design the width of his face, the contrast in the width of his face to the narrow point of his face, that would be an example. I'm not saying that that's what you should do because this is your design. You know what I mean? Maybe that'll ruin the look. I don't know, but contrast is key when you're trying to get his type of cartoony look. So if you're having a wide top to a small bottom, wide shoulders to a skinny waist, you have to push it like to the limits. The width of the hips here should be either extremely large or extremely small compared to the width here, if you're going to go from small to wide in that fashion, or from wide to small in that fashion. So you got to work contrast into every part of your design if you're trying to get it in this cartoony-esque style. Yeah, so exaggerate, loosen up your poses, get some gesture in there, and add some contrast to your design. Big to little, like round to sharp, that sort of thing. You have like really great line. I do have to say that like your lines are so spiffy. I think I've told you that like 100 times in your stream. Like I love your like hair swirl thing that I can't do. Like it just looks so great to me. Like I particularly enjoy like the depth that you add in your designs. Like these swirls. Am I wrong here, Jasmine? Are they not beautiful?
I like them, yeah. Nice touch.
Yeah, I really like that. Like, so I think you have really strong designs, and as a like, classical fantasy artist, like you've already got it, on a professional level. But if you're trying to get to a exaggerated gestural level, those are just some points I would try to work into your already existing style. Anything that you think I'm leaving out or I'm not clarifying, Jazz?
The only thing is if you want your lines or your shapes to also look similar to Humberto's, is that you have a lot of sharp points. And he picks and chooses where to put those sharp points, and he usually doesn't have very many of them. Yeah, so like on the elbows, that one point, on the calf sometimes there is a sharp point. Yeah.
I agree that he does use a lot more rounded shapes. You can get pretty exaggerated with pointy shapes. It's just you have to push them a lot harder at times. So like when you're doing, let's say, an arm like this, you would have to really max it out and really hit on your contour so that it doesn't look absolutely jangity crazy when it's nothing but points. So it's a little bit more challenging than using nothing but round shapes. So, I agree with your point. Like, you could try mixing up your shape, but if you're comfortable using a pointy style, it's your style, man.
Mhm.
Like, take it as far as you can. You just really gotta, like, if you're going to do a wide deltoid or a wide pointy deltoid, try bringing in that bicep to where it's almost like non-existent, maxing out that tricep. And then, doing the same thing with the arm, but then get down to the hand and just fucking boom, pop it out. Humongous hand, great googly knuckles, you know what I mean? So lots of contrast.
I've also noticed in Humberto's characters, even like in the women, the forearm is almost the same width as the wrist. Like there's very little difference between like at the top of the forearm where it connects to your upper arm and the wrist. The width is usually pretty consistent. between all of his characters, and I think that is like a defining thing that I could identify his work from other people's work. But you don't necessarily have to have.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's consistent in his style. Is very true. But there's also, I'm not saying but there's also very a lot of things that are consistent in Reva's style.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was saying, like these lines are very consistent. The curves that he does are extremely consistent. You could definitely pick his work out of, a million artists
Yep.
because of these, pointy lines and this like I would put this on a scale of 1 being not detailed, like Bugs Money, 10 being super detailed, like a Final Fantasy render. I would put his somewhere at 8 or 9, as far as how much detail he adds in. So that to me is also a defining feature. And I also think that you think through the shapes that are going into a character design very thoroughly. You don't ignore different parts of the anatomy just because they're difficult to draw or they might not fit the style that you're going for. So I do applaud you on that. You think your character designs through very much, and you're consistent with the curve and the sharpness throughout your entire character design. But sorry, yes, that's what I have as far as what the difference would be or where to go. So I would practice exaggerating your character designs and loosening up your poses and adding contrast to your poses or to your character designs. Don't be afraid. Push it to the limit.
Indeed. And Reva, we're not sure if you were also wanting a color critique, if you liked Humberto's style overall, not just his lines, but also his color. If you do, I can point out basically just one thing. I know you use gradients a whole lot. You can see how it fades from a blue to the normal pant color. Just about everywhere. You don't use too many hard lines to define where your color goes, except for when there is a color pattern. On Humberto's, you can notice that there is a hard line where this darker color is compared to the lighter color, and there is even a harder, it's still soft, but a harder line for the lighter colors as well. And the highlights are also what I would call hard lines between colors, and that's mainly like between these two colors there is a hard line right now, and if you wanted a softer line you would do this, and this would be considered a softer line, blending the colors together until you can't really tell where one starts and the other stops. You do have a couple of hard lines in your hair here. I mean, yeah, in your hair. You can translate that to more places, other than just places you have definitely defined as being dark. Like on these rib shapes, you have defined. Oh my God, you have defined more, but you could push this hard line everywhere. You could definitely put it in here as a defining line for the shadow, just like you have in the areas that you've already blocked out to definitely always be in shadow. And I would apply it everywhere, definitely. You do have some hard highlights, which is great. Putting some hard shadows next to them would help bring out more contrast and make your guy feel more like he has volume to him and weight. And it would also help in the textures of things. I noticed this is supposed to be a hard texture, which is why you put in a hard light. I would also put in a hard shadow instead of just a gradient from light to dark. And that's pretty much all I have.
Overall, I think it's got a phenomenal color scheme. I really feel like there's like ice and fire, crystal. Like I feel those in those colors.
Mm-hmm. And
I don't know anything about color. Sorry.
And that's okay. That's okay. The color choices are great. I like that you didn't just use a solid blue color scheme. You went from this more green blue to a more kind of purple almost color in here. It's a great contrast. Even though it is subtle, it's a really good use for mood and like temperature, all that other good stuff. Yeah. And I think that's all the time we have for this piece.
Thanks, Reva.
Yes, thank you for letting us critique your piece. We really appreciate it. If you have other pieces you would like us to critique in the future, let us know. Let's see. Next we have Dungeon Pug's piece, which is Karna, Queen of Thorns. Where are you? Nope. Where are you?
Forgot my stylist is being mean today. I was trying to drag stuff and ooh, nope, nope. Definitely. All right, Karna, Queen of Thorns. I know you didn't really draw this, so I will try to make the like things that I say like as easily translatable into 3D modeling as possible. Um,
Because this is a 3D model that Dungeon made and then posed and did lighting on.
right, and painted over, or I guess he told me he does this like smudging technique where he like blends out the hard lines to give it a painted look. Right. So, from the modeling perspective or from the drawing perspective, if we talk about composition, her hand could be in a more interesting pose, probably with her knuckles facing our direction. So you could have seen a little bit more of the gesture of her hand, because hand gestures add a lot to the character, to the feel. So if her fingers had been over here somewhere, I think that would have made your pose a little stronger. Sorry, muddling that up because I could not figure out where I wanted it.